We're on to our last topic today. In Portland, taxpayers have coughed up $30 million in unpaid water bills due to billing mismanagement, watched as the tram cost escalated from $15 to over $60 million, and are now being told they need to vote to raise another $400 million to provide basic street maintenance. Is mayoral candidate Sam Adams' plan to spend over $5 million for a questionable bicycle bridge more mismanagement, or is this really a priority for the city? Mike?
I think it's a priority for Sam's campaign.
We had this discussion before. So.
Yeah, this is one of those where if you're opposed to this, you hate bicycles, I guess. It's one of those things. It's one of those nice things, a nice thing to have, but is it a necessity? And Mayor Potter has made the case rather strongly that he thinks there are other priorities for that money. You know, start to put a little bit of a dent in that.
How about the Selwood Bridge before it falls down?
No, that's a county problem.
Oh, okay.
The city's problem.
But yeah, the mayor's point is that there are a lot of neighborhoods and towns that don't have adequate streets, adequate sidewalks, and $5 million is more than it would take to put in this bridge, even if they decided it was a priority, which according to the budgets it's not currently. So it's one of those kind of I think it's designed to appease or appeal to a certain segment of the population, and it seems political.
There's definitely a constituency there that would like to use that, and because it's going to Northwest Portland, you can imagine where the constituency is.
Well, and actually some of the money is dedicated to that neighborhood too, so they don't have complete control over where they spend it.
Well, the other thing was, right, we're talking about seeming green and doing the right thing, and they're talking about taking the old bridge and tearing it apart and reassembling it or moving it, which is going to cost more than building a new bridge.
Right.
Which I think is kind of ridiculous, because you know it's going to cost more than $5 million.
It's a shame
to move it or build it.
The city of Portland annexed a lot of territory in southeast, and they did it because the state said they needed sewers there, and the city said we won't extend sewers until you annex. So they had the big hammer with them, but they not only didn't have sewers, they didn't have streets, and in some cases they didn't even have pavement, let alone curbs and sidewalks
and lighting
and all of that. Well, if nothing else, that's a horrific way to raise kids, where they can't go out and ride their bike safely, and where they can't go out and play catch in the front yard, because the front yard just kind of goes into the street. There's no definition of where it is. And I agree with the current mayor. There's just so many needs in the city for transportation money that doing something like this is almost a Disneyland. Or I went down to Havasu City and saw the London Bridge that was moved over. And I mean, that's a keen idea if somebody has the private bucks to do it. But I wouldn't want, I shouldn't mention it. Maybe London's getting rid of another bridge.
I think one of the sad things we've started to see, sad from my point of view, with Portland elections is that the actual election process seems to encourage this sort of one-upsmanship for feeding the far left. You have certain interest groups in the city who probably are the least fiscally responsible, and they have a lot of dreams and a lot of ideas and things that they want. And the candidates, whether it's a mayor election or a city council election, they are stepping over each other to try to offer up or agree with these really outlandish plans that are very costly and are not core service issues that the city has. And meanwhile, the debt in the city and the unfunded liabilities in the city continue to grow. To quote someone in the news recently, I mean, these chickens are going to come home to roost eventually. And it's just a matter of one economic downturn, and Portland's going to not be, I mean, it's not even going to be funny to be having conversations about bike bridges anymore. They're going to have serious revenue problems.
Yeah. Okay, on that note, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank